Hello, my friends. I'm Lee, and this is Bee's Intuition. Today, we're gonna do a reading about this the cursed subject that caused my microphones to malfunction. Not the fact that I dropped the transmitter on the ground and got it bent out of shape, and that's really what caused my mics to malfunction. But yeah, so that topic that I literally tried to record twice but had no luck, I want to do that now. Because especially now that I know that you can hear me well, hopefully. um, yeah, so we're going to do that topic, the forbidden topic. No, sorry, distracted. Yes. So let's do that topic. And the topic is, if I actually get around to the point. The topic is like, so it's pretty much, oops, sorry, I bumped my tripod. Pretty much it is, what kind of feelings do you evoke in others? But I was thinking specifically, what sensations do you bring out in others? And that can be, very open-ended, and I kind of like the fact that it's vague because it allows for more types of reactions from people. Because I feel like if we just did feelings, I feel like feelings, especially the word feelings, is too associated with romantic love. So I thought this would be a fun one to kind of see, like, what kind of sensations do you stimulate in others? All right, let's just dive right onto it, shall we? Please, thank you, Spirit. What kind of sensations does the collective bring out in other people? What kind of sensations do they bring out when it comes to other people? Ooh, okay. Ooh, damn. Okay. Your energy is magnificent. Okay. Anywho, let's see what came out. First of all is the Two of Cups. That's the card of love, baby. Reciprocal love. So you definitely stimulate the sensation of falling in love. Or people just really love you, and that's kind of their sensation. And then the second card that came out, the Seven of Wands, which is a fighting energy, but that gives me this idea that you probably you create the energy, or you stimulate the energy, the sensation of people really wanting to, like, do something. And I guess it could be two different ways. At first I was picking up on the energy of, like, maybe you stimulate people to want to fight for you, like people get competitive over you. But then again, that fight mode could also be in terms of people that don't like you. So obviously we're going to clarify all these, but yeah. And then the King of Swords came out, and the King of Pentacles came out. So I think that that is definitely indicating that you bring out maturity in others, or you make people that may not be mature, you make them want to level up. Yeah. And then bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Pentacles. You could give people a sense of balance, or like when they're around you, you seem to balance things. And I almost feel like that's in terms of like feelings, in terms of like, it's such a chaotic world, but it's almost like you could counterbalance that darkness in the world. And so when people are around you, they could feel like a more like, yeah, like a sense of balance. Like, okay, so here's the light to match the darkness, you know, kind of thing. Anywho, let's get into the clarification, shall we? Starting with that Two of Cups. Please and thank you, Spirit. What kinds of sensations does the collective stimulate in others? Please and thank you, Spirit, with that Two of Cups. Two of Cups. Please and thank you. What kinds of feelings, sensations, I don't know why I'm doing that. What kind of sensations does the collective stimulate in others? Oh, interesting energy. Very interesting. Okay, clarifying that Two of Cups, we have the Five of Swords, which is insane because that's like, I would see that as almost the opposite energy of the Two of Cups, but here we are. And then Four of Cups, which again, that almost feels like the opposite of the Two of Cups. And then the Six of Wands, and I'm like, okay, that makes more sense for the Two of Cups. And then the King of Pentacles came out. It did come out like this though, so maybe I'll read it like that, because that almost gives me like a sense of insecurity. Maybe somebody feels a little insecure around you. Oh, and then bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Cups. Oh, I thought one may have flipped inside the deck, but nope. Oh, we're good. So let's tap into this energy now. So, okay, this is interesting. So it almost feels like the sensations that you evoke in others with that Two of Cups and the Five of Swords. It feels like you could evoke the feeling of, or the sensation of competition, competitiveness. Like people want to compete with you when it comes to love. This is an interesting energy. It almost feels like it doesn't even matter like who you're in love with. People just want to like, this is a weird energy, but you know, that's kind of the reason why I wanted this to be open-ended like that, to see the whole range of what people feel around you. But the Five of Swords, that's the energy of like somebody that wants to win no matter what the cost is. And so people get low. Like it feels nasty, because it almost even feels like it's not even about the people that you actually like or get into relationships with, or you find an interest in them, or the people you have a crush on. It's almost like they just don't want you to win. And so they'll do anything it takes in order to sabotage, get in the way, take that person from you. That's what I'm getting, because the Five of Swords energy is a nasty energy. It's very unfair treatment too. It almost makes you think, like, why would somebody it almost feels like this person's purpose that they have come to recognize as their purpose is to just sabotage you in your love life. I guess it is possible that this could have been somebody that you hurt in the past. And so maybe they feel like they need to get their revenge or whatever. But I'm not so sure that I get that, because sometimes the Five of Swords is just nasty to be nasty. Doesn't always, you know, and unfortunately, especially the unstable people, it almost feels like they don't even need a reason to do this. It's almost like they are spiteful of your very existence. And it kind of makes me think, I wonder if people think that love comes easily to you, or maybe you like kind of give off a very loving energy, and people that are bitter, miserable, um, in darkness, they do not like to see your light. They don't like to be around you. They don't like that you're happy. They don't like that you're loving. And so they might just take personal offense to you for literally no reason other than your existence. I mean, that is definitely a sensation. Okay. I mean, it's not like these people, just because somebody wants to sabotage your love life, that doesn't really mean that they have the, um, the energy to sustain that sort of hate, or the ability to truly impact you, or they may not even be close enough to your person in order to try and steal them away from you. Like, just because it's showing up in this reading, I'm not trying to make you scared about, oh, this person's gonna come after my husband or whatever. I don't know. But I don't really think that, because it's such a petty and egoic energy, I don't even know if this is truly what they would do. But it's definitely what they feel on the inside, and maybe what they would like to do if they were maybe in the right circumstances. Like, if the opportunity presented itself for this person to get in the way of your love life, they would. But it's almost like, the thing, yeah, like, it takes a lot of energy to be hateful, and it takes energy to go out of your way to ruin somebody else's life. So I'm inclined to say that this may not even be somebody that actively does this or has actively done this. I don't think so. I think that this could be, well, maybe in the past they did that to you. That could be somebody's experience, but it almost feels like in the current moment, this is just almost a fantasy. that's that's a sensation. I mean, yeah. So it's almost like you evoke hatred and jealousy, but it's coming from that place of the ego and envy. It's not, it's probably not based in reality. And it feels almost like they're grasping at straws to find logical ways to hate you. And so maybe this is even somebody that kind of sabotages themselves socially. Like, they could literally be going around like trying to talk smack about you. But the thing is, and I can't remember where I read this, it was in college and I read it somewhere, that a lot of people, when you are interacting with somebody and you're talking about somebody else, a lot of the time the person that you're talking to is not going to take, oh yes, so there's like this psychology fact or whatever, and it may not even be legitimate because I read it in college. I don't know if it was a true like researched thing, but pretty much I read that when you're talking to somebody and you're talking about someone else, a lot of the times that person that you're talking to does not associate the qualities that you're telling somebody with the other person. They typically associate the qualities you talk about with you, the person that's talking to them. So, for instance, if I say, if I want to really talk smack about somebody and I'm like, oh, they're so lazy and they never do anything, and blah 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 blah, I'm just like having a whole tangent about how this other person is so lazy. Subconsciously you may kind of get the feeling, it's like, no, I think you're the one that's lazy. And it's, I guess it's something that humans do. They kind of associate those things with the person that is saying those things, especially if you think about it, like a long time of maybe talking smack about somebody, you notice a pattern and you're just like, come on, like, why do you have to talk smack all the time about this person? And then people just get sick of them and walk away from them because they're miserable and they don't want to be affected by that misery. Um, but on the other hand, it could also be used in a really good way. Um, that little fun fact, I guess, where you're like talking about somebody else and you're like singing their praises. You're like, oh, wow, they're so beautiful. They're so talented. They really have a good thing going in their life right now. I'm so excited for them. And when you're talking to somebody, typically that person is going to associate those characteristics that you're saying is like, oh, that other person, they're going to associate those characteristics with you. And so you can use it to your own benefit, in terms of like giving compliments about other people. um and maybe it's not super common, unfortunately, but it is something you can do. We all have free will to do it, baby. If we want to, affect how people see us, just give more compliments about other people and they'll start to associate those things with you. Um, but I guess use that sparingly and not as a form of manipulation, of course, not with bad intentions. But anyhow, so it almost feels like they could sort of sabotage themselves socially by constantly talking smack about other people, and maybe specifically you. I feel this sense of people around this person because they're so negative, because they most likely this type of person only ever harps on the negatives of a situation. I think people just get sick of that energy and they just leave this person alone, and then this person grows even more bitter, even more jaded. Interesting. And then the Four of Cups. You may have a very calm energy about you. When people are around you, they feel a sense of calm and they may not know why. It's almost like they feel something. They may not even realize what they feel around you is calmness, but they feel something around you and they just maybe soak up those moments because it's a very calming presence that you have in their life. But in terms of love, the Four of Cups can sometimes be a card of rejection, which is interesting because it's clarifying the Two of Cups, which is a very loving card. But I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that you... Oh, I think I see now. Okay. Because I don't think that you evoke the sensation of people wanting to reject you. There's something about your energy that feels very light and attractive. So I don't think that that's what I'm picking up on, but what I was getting now is people may feel the sensation of you rejecting them, whether you do this consciously or not. Ooh, yeah, and if you look at the image here, this guy here, or person, sitting there with a tree, not looking at the cups. There's even one that's like generating over here. So cups all around, but not focused on that, focused on the tree. I almost get like this sense of meditation. But the important part to notice is that this person's back is facing us, as if this person has turned away from us. So what I think is you stimulate this sensation of being rejected, whether you're rejecting people or not. That is so interesting. It's almost like, and that could be built around like a belief system of like people like you would reject them, and maybe they're just basing this purely off of your physical form or your energy, because they may kind of put you on a pedestal and feel like lower than you. And so they automatically feel rejected by you. And maybe that could cause them to grow this bitterness of the Five of Swords we were just looking at. So maybe people just sort of naturally feel rejected by you, even if you don't mean to, even if you aren't rejecting them. Yeah. They feel maybe rejected by you. Because also there's this sense of maybe you're looking for something else too. Like what people have to offer, or these specific people that feel this sensation, they may feel like you're not interested in them, or you're looking for something else. Yeah. You may also give off this vibe that even though you're incredibly loving, you may not be super focused on romance. And maybe that's another way people feel rejected, is like, oh, this person isn't even looking for a relationship, so I shouldn't even bother. But again, I feel like this is an emotional thing. And I think it takes very little to kind of trigger this sensation in other people. Interesting though. Yeah. And then we have the Six of Wands. And this I feel like is coming through very clear. So the Six of Wands is typically a card of success and being seen as being successful. And when it comes to the Two of Cups, to me, it's almost giving me this sensation of like, oh, wow, I have won. So your partners or people that will date you in the future, they think that they are winning. If they have your love, they have everything. They are winning at life. That's what it feels like. Also, they may see you as a winner to some extent. And so they may assume, or maybe they see it in real life, that when they're around you, they become successful as well. Yeah. And also, like achieving goals and all of that, that could also be a part of this. You could stimulate the sensation of people wanting to improve themselves, because maybe you give off that energy of having either improved on yourself or you're actively working on that. And so it may even inspire other people. Inspiration is definitely a sensation that you bring out in others. And you may come into some sort of win in your life, and that may even become what you're known for. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's interesting. Because it almost feels like you are this winner, and people see that and they're like, ooh, I bet if I was with them, things would go much better. Interesting. And then, as I said earlier, the King of Pentacles came out like that. So I was taking it as maybe somebody who probably is the King of Pentacles upright may feel like they aren't. And that may be simply because of your energy, your presence. I almost feel like, yeah, people definitely probably are putting you on a pedestal. And so that's a very, that's an uncomfortable place for a relationship, because that means it's unequal. And yeah, typically with those types of dynamics too, the person that is putting the other person on a pedestal eventually becomes bitter towards that person that they put on that pedestal. Because, well, I don't really know why, I guess, but probably has to do with their insecurities and past traumas, I'm sure. But yeah, People that are pretty empowered most of the time. Oh, yeah, and King of Pentacles, it's a very confident energy. So people may even feel less confident around you. People that are typically very, very confident, they second guess themselves when they're around you. I get a very abundant energy from you, especially because we're clarifying the Two of Cups. You probably are somebody that has a huge heart. And that love just kind of overflows into the world. And that probably is why you're so necessary in the world. And also why you make such a huge impact in the lives of others. But yeah, people may second guess themselves around you. And these are people that are pretty confident, and the King of Pentacles is also very successful. So people may even doubt their own success around you. Well, actually, especially if you're spiritual, it could even be that you don't value the things that a King of Pentacles would typically see as being valuable. And by that I mean, like, you may go for things that are more emotionally fulfilling rather than what society expects of you. Because I almost see this King of Pentacles as being somebody that's like, well, I have a really good career, I get paid all this money, you know, everybody likes me, I'm very popular, I have a sports car, I can buy you designer bags, all that kind of stuff. But in your presence, maybe you don't like any of that, or you're just like, you don't want that, or you don't need that in your life, and so you're just like, okay. Because you probably focus on more, because especially if you show up in this Two of Cups energy, you may prioritize other things. And so people that may have sort of glided through life achieving a lot of things that make them socially successful, and they get the big reactions out of everyone, they may even be surprised when you're not reacting to these things that are considered success. And so maybe people get insecure about that, especially people that may feel like all they have to offer you is money or fame or whatever, and you may not want any of that. And you may not be impressed by that either. It's like you could be somebody that focuses on the personality. Like, I want to know who I'm getting into a relationship with. I don't want to know, you know, that you can buy me a Ferrari and a yacht and, you know, whatever. Like, you could probably be somebody that's like, no, I want to know who you are and how you treat other people, what your views of the world are. Do you like to help people? You know, it's so, I think you ask of people things that they don't typically, I don't even know how to word it, but pretty much like you have a different set of priorities compared to these people. And so when these people are trying to convince you, so when these people are trying to like impress you, convince you, and they're like just listing off the things that they list off to everyone, because most people think those things are attractive and impressive, right? But to you, they don't mean anything. And that is probably what triggers people. They feel that insecurity because the things that you're looking for, they may not have, such as a strong code of ethics, a strong moral compass, somebody that stands up for the things that they believe in. Like a lot of different things, like their spiritual health, their mental health. Do they take care of their mental health? Do they take care of their spiritual health? Do they, like all these different things that these people that may think that all they're good for is like superficial material things. and they've been told their whole life, like, this is what people want and this is what will get you into a relationship. These people around you feel almost powerless, almost valueless, and that's such an interesting energy. Especially because the King of Pentacles is typically a very confident person and pretty successful as well. So it's like they get confused but triggered in a way that makes them insecure. That is an interesting energy. Yeah. So people could even, like, yeah, it feels like, especially because we are clarifying the Two of Cups, this is how people feel around you when it comes to love. Or at least some people. Some people may get in their head and doubt themselves and doubt what they have. And it's a real shock. It's almost like a wake-up call to these people because they've lived their whole life, you know, listening to other people saying like this, and this is going to make you successful in the eyes of others. Or, you know, having this, and this is what success is all about. Or you want to impress people that you want to date. Tell them this, and this. And so it really shakes people. And it feels like a life-changing sort of experience, and experiencing you and then feeling these sensations, because these people may have never felt that type of insecurity before, especially if these are people that are coming from like a privileged background. Maybe they were born and raised in a rich family, and so they never really had to fight for these things. They never had to build character. You know, they kind of just were like, okay, give me. And that was like their whole personality for a long time, perhaps. And so, yeah, that's definitely going to trigger people when they've lived their entire life being told what success is. But when they interact with you, you're just like, well, that's not what success looks like to me. Yeah. And these people are like, what? And then they have to like second guess themselves, and they feel really weird and uncomfortable and insecure. Very interesting energy. I love this reading so far. This is fun. I think I might do more of this in the future because I actually really like where this is going, because it's showing like a bunch of like different, really in-depth energies that you evoke in other people. Like, very interesting. Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So people, yeah, heartbreaker is what I'm getting. So people may see you as a heartbreaker, or you may be somebody that has broken people's heart. But it's also like, I don't know, because it's like in this image there are 2 cups standing up and there's 3 cups that have spilt over. They've been knocked down. So it almost gives me the sensation of like, but you may be that type of person, or you may have been that type of person where you give people multiple chances, or you did. And so I almost feel this sensation of being like, these people probably only have themselves to blame, especially if they mistreated you in these relationships, or took you for granted, or took your qualities for granted. Also, it's very interesting that this figure is looking towards the 2 cups that are still standing in the distance, and we're clarifying the 2 of Cups. So it's almost like if we think of this 2 of Cups as representing you, these people from the past can't help but still dream of you, still maybe look you up online, or, you know, watch what you're doing, or they're always on the lookout for you. Like, these are people that probably get really hung up on you, and it's almost like they can't seem to move past the heartbreak of losing you. And that's very interesting too, because I think that speaks a lot about the character that you have, that even the people that you've dated, they can't move on. They can't maybe find any better. Maybe at one point they thought like, oh, I can just find this in someone else, but The more they look, it's like, oh no, that was a very unique energy, a one of a kind energy. And some people may feel like, oh, that's kind of heavy though. Some people may feel though like that they will be hung up on you for the rest of their life, and they'll always regret that for the rest of their life. But unfortunately, sometimes people are their own karma. I hate to say that, but sometimes it's true. Let's see what's underneath that Five of Cups. The Hermit. Ooh, so you cause people to want to reflect and dive within themselves too. This is probably because you either do this, you like dive deep within yourself, or maybe they've seen you like kind of keep to yourself, but maybe with like a spiritual purpose. But it almost even gives me that feeling of like, maybe these are people that just sit at home just thinking about you, and they can't seem to like stop thinking about you, and they're just like, repeating the same thoughts, and trying to, these could even be people that are like trying to retroactively fix the relationship that they let slip through their fingers when it comes to you. That's very interesting. Wow. But I feel like through them spending time alone, thinking, reflecting on things, in a way, I almost feel like it spiritually enlightens these people, or at least opens the door to spiritual enlightenment. And then they have the choice whether or not they want to go through that doorway. But this is interesting. And so it's like, this is almost why it's necessary for people to lose you in their life, because you may open up people's souls, open up people's hearts, open up people's minds. And through thinking about you, they may find out things about themselves. And maybe if they're in the right energy, they can use that for self-improvement, so that they're not doing the same things that they did to you to other people. I'm curious what's underneath that Hermit. 10 of Cups. See, that's happily ever after. So in terms of these people that have fumbled you, this is what they were fumbling. Their actual happily ever after. So yeah, you have people that are literally saying to themselves, I'll never find something else like that. I'll never find someone else like that. I will never find someone that fulfills me so completely, that makes me so happy, that I can imagine a whole future and family with. Damn, that's heavy. But that's what people feel. Damn. Okay, so let's go into the Seven of Wands. Please and thank you, Spirit. What kind of sensations does the collective stimulate in others? What kind of sensations do they evoke? And other people, please and thank you, with that Seven of Wands. Okay, one more shuffle. Please and thank you for that Seven of Wands. 7 of Wands up in here. Still the ones, baby. Yes. One did flip over. Don't try and trick me now. There we go. Ooh, 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 ba-doop, ba-doop, boo. Okay. Oh, how interesting. Okay, so for the Seven of Wands, we have the Ace of Cups came out like this. I think that is a beautiful thing. And then we have the Tower card upright. The Nine of Wands. Bottom of the deck. 10 of Pentacles. Dang. Okay. So the Ace of Cups coming out like this. I actually see that as a beautiful thing, because that tells me that people feel safe around you, and they may even express themselves to you. They may even open their heart in ways that they didn't even either think that they could or that they were really resistant to. Like, these could be people that vowed to themselves, I'll never love again, or I'll never open my heart again. But then when they interact with you, they meet you and they're interacting with you, you probably give off a very comforting presence, and it naturally allows people to kind of just naturally open up to you. You could definitely be one of those people that people at the grocery store that you don't even know are like telling you their life story, and you're just like, what? Or maybe people like to talk to you at the grocery store or something, or just in public, where it's just like random people like to start conversations with you. But it's just because you have this comforting, safe sort of presence. And I feel like it comes through because you have like a pure intention about you. You have a authenticity about you that I feel like people find very attractive and they find very comforting. And it's interesting that this is clarifying the Seven of Wands here. I almost wonder if people even are willing to fight for or fight against themselves, maybe. Fight against themselves in order to open up their heart because they know that they're safe with you, or they feel like they would be safe with you. So people like actively kind of want to fight to open their heart around you, even if that's something that scares them. But also with that Seven of Wands, it feels like you stand out in a very big way, and people can't ignore your presence. It kind of speaks for itself, even if you're not doing anything. You just have this energy, and there's something that kind of radiates off of you that other people may not have to the extent that you do. But it's probably, you know, like the result of a lot of internal effort and spiritual growth, self-growth. Yeah. But you definitely stand out in the view of other people. Like, through other people's eyes, you definitely stand out in a big way. So it's almost like even if people try to ignore you, they can't, because it's something about you that just really stands out. And then we have the Tower card. You really shake up people's lives. They feel maybe even unstable around you. That could be applied in many different ways. But it almost feels like the sensation of maybe their world being flipped upside down, or the sensation of the life that they knew before you came crumbling down around them. It feels like there's something that you awaken in people that a lot of people didn't even realize they either had within them, or that part was not being brought out, or that they, because it's almost like the light that you bring illuminates the things within people that maybe they didn't know that they needed to work on, or they may have been suppressing. You bring these up to the surface, and it feels almost like their life crumbles, or at least the life as they knew it before they met you comes crumbling down. But the thing about the Tower is it's a very necessary process, because the Tower falls in order, well, first off, the Tower falls because it's not built on a sturdy foundation. And then after this storm passes, what gets built in the Tower's place, that will be built on a firmer foundation, a stronger foundation. And what is built upon that land that the Tower was on, it's going to actually stand the test of time because it's the natural order of what is to take place. So I feel like you're a very necessary person in the lives of other people. But the thing is, it could really trigger people to feel like their life is in chaos, but maybe it's just simply internal chaos because they recognize like, oh, I need to work on this thing, or you know what, I'm not actually happy about that thing that I'm doing. Because it's like your light illuminates the darkness within people. And people, I think, tend to react to that. Like, it's almost like you bring out the best and the worst of people. Because it's like you open up their heart, but you also open their mind to all of their blind spots, the things that they actually need to work on that maybe they were refusing to work on, or they were convincing themselves wasn't important, or whatever. Very interesting energy, though. But again, that Tower card indicates that you are somebody that is unavoidable, truly. And you're also a force of nature. You're definitely a strong force in the lives of other people, whether you recognize this or not. And again, you may not even do anything that much. Like to you, you're simply just existing. You're simply just interacting with people. But people have these like mind blown moments when they interact with you. They shift their perspective and everything. It really does feel like you kind of turn people's worlds upside down, but it almost feels like that's a necessary part to their journey. And maybe that world that they had before, or that world outlook, it kind of needed to fall apart in order for maybe more enlightenment to take place, more healing to take place. Because the next card after the Tower is the Star card, and the Star card is about healing after that Tower moment. So even if people don't recognize it in the moment, when they feel super chaotic, it will ultimately lead them to their healing. And so it's necessary. Even if it scares people, even if it triggers people, it's ultimately for their best good. And I feel like most people probably eventually come around to that idea, but it may take some people longer than others to recognize that this was a necessary part of the process here. Super interesting, though. That's honestly very beautiful in a way. Like, it just shows like how important you are for this world, for, society, because you help heal people even if you don't even mean to, even if it's just completely accidental. You help people heal, you help people grow, you help people learn, and also become more vulnerable, which in this day and age, I want to say most people don't like to be vulnerable because they see vulnerability as weakness. But maybe you show people that being vulnerable isn't a bad thing. It's not inherently bad. And in fact, it can be quite beautiful, quite necessary. And so people that may have thought they can just repress those parts or suppress those parts, they come to realize that maybe they shouldn't. And, when they move out of their comfort zone and actually do open up, they may, especially after interacting with you, they may realize, oh wait, that wasn't that scary, or nothing bad happened. Oh, crazy. Like maybe I should just, do this more. But it's like, again, you're turning people's thoughts and mindsets around in a way that I feel like is very impactful and very beautiful and very necessary. And then the Nine of Wands. So it was really funny too, I guess, in the way that this came out, because the Tower and then the Nine of Wands. So this Tower moment can even be People recognizing just how hurt they are. Yes, because if you open up people's heart, not only are they going to feel all of the love, but they're also going to feel a lot of the pain. And that's why a lot of people close their hearts off. It's not even necessarily that they're afraid to love, or that they don't experience love, but rather they're just so afraid of that vulnerability, of opening up that wound again, potentially. And that Nine of Wands is telling me that people recognize their own suffering after interacting with you. And so they get the sensation of like looking back on their past and being like, oh, damn, this is actually kind of rough. But the message I'm getting is, wow. Pretty much like because they interact with you and they see how kind, how authentic you are, the energy you show up in. And it almost makes people think like, if people like you exist, then why did I put up with all that shit back there, you know? Why did I go through so many crummy relationships? Why did people treat me so awfully? Why did people abuse me? Why did people use me? Why did people manipulate me? Why did people, you know? So it's almost like your goodness illuminates the dark people that these people have, or dark experiences that these people have gone through. Again, it's like that illumination of the dark that they probably didn't want to face. And so people really face the depths, is what I want to say, after interacting with you. Because again, like it's like maybe these people thought, based off of past experiences, that everybody is mean, everybody is evil, everybody is abusive, everybody is blah, blah, blah. But after interacting with you and you being like this genuine light who loves people, who cares about people, who treats people with respect and dignity and kindness, you show up in a way that is truly humane, a great representation of what humanity should be. And it is like a mirror to these people. And then they start to feel like, okay, so people can be that nice. So why didn't anybody in my past try to be that nice or try to be that authentic? Especially if you are somebody that's very open about your own struggles, and maybe that you came from a place that you weren't proud of, and you've healed yourself to the point of showing up as your best self, or for the most part, it's like, for people that have gone through shitty situation after shitty situation, it's almost like if the collective can heal themselves to become a better person, why didn't anybody back then do that? But instead, they just chose to not heal. They chose to become bitter. They chose to become angry and abusive and, you know, all these things. They held on to that. Oh, what was that noise? Okay. But yeah, it's just like, okay, like if humans are able to heal and become better people because of the collective being an obvious example of that, then why didn't anybody from my past do that? Instead, they chose to stay stuck, they chose to stay unhealed, and they traumatized me. And that wasn't fair. That wasn't right. These could be literally people. Ugh, it just breaks my heart, because it's like people that have never known anything other than cruelty, abuse, being traumatized by people that refuse to self-reflect or heal themselves. And maybe they even go on to perpetuate that same cycle of abuse because they're hurt. People that go through abuse and that trauma, they're hurt. But they may have never known that it was possible to become a better person, They may have not believed in kindness or true authenticity or true kindness from people that genuinely want to be kind and aren't just doing it to manipulate, aren't just doing it to win social favor. Ugh, that's just so rough, because people could literally go through their whole lives suppressing the emotions that are around facing the fact that they were mistreated, that they were abused, that they have trauma as a result of other people not healing, as a result of other people choosing to stay stuck in that negative cycle. Because I think you're a great example of what humans can be, or what they can become if they choose. And so it just illuminates that darkness of their pasts. And I think that you could definitely trigger some people to, yeah, it's like, because your light is so bright, they don't want to have to face those demons that were in the darkness and the shadows that become illuminated when you're around. And so people may, yeah, it feels like people could give you mixed signals, especially like in dating and friendships or whatever, where it's like at first they feel this nice comforting energy and they want to open up, but then that vulnerability is scary. The fact that that other person can start to see parts to you that maybe you haven't been open about or haven't liked to admit were there. And so you may get people that may think they want to be with you, but then they interact with you in a way that's very genuine, and they may get so scared that they run in the opposite direction. That could have happened to you more than once. Because like I said, you open that heart, but that heart is not just going to feel love. It's also going to feel all of that mistreatment that was put on you throughout your lifetime. That was unfair. That wasn't just. That wasn't right. That was actually actively wrong. They shouldn't have done that. And they had the option to choose to not abuse or perpetuate the cycles of abuse. And you're a clear, like, contrast to that. You show people, like I said, what humans can become if they choose to be. And so people start to question, why didn't people in my past choose to be better? Instead, they perpetuated these cycles and traumatized me, and now I have to live the whole rest of my life trying to figure out how to heal that. And a lot of the time it's complex, takes time, and maybe not a simple answer. And so most people just decide to ignore that, push it aside, and just try to go on with their lives as if that doesn't exist there. But you almost make these people face that, which they didn't want to face before. So I think that would make sense why people feel very strong around you, either very strong in that loving energy, but also very strong in that, like, get away from me energy, or I don't like you because you make me uncomfortable, even if it is for their best. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think I'm trying to say, like, so that they become their best self or something. And then the bottom of the deck being the Ten of Pentacles. This feels like you feel like home, but it's almost like the home that people would, this is just breaking my heart, because I'm tapping into like these energies that have just been so mistreated throughout their lives. And so much so that they thought that that was all the world was ever going to be. And that is the world that they live in. But the Ten of Pentacles is an amazing card. It's happy home, happy life. Also, like, ultimate abundance, ultimate stability, even generational wealth. Typically there's a family that's depicted and they're very harmonious. So it's almost like, again, you're a very spectacular person. And you have it within you to create a home life that is safe, that is secure, that is warm and comforting. And so people may feel like this conflicting energy within themselves of like, yes, you're wonderful and I wish I could be around you for the wonderful parts, but also you bring to my attention that it's possible for a human to become this and the people in my past didn't, and therefore I'm uncomfortable, or I feel like I'm not deserving, or whatever. There could even be a strong sense of loyalty that you give off. And people, again, may not be used to that type of strength and loyalty, like that sturdiness of a rock, like somebody to actually be able to depend upon. You are that kind of person that people can depend upon. Yeah, and it just brings up those like dark experiences because it's such a contrast to their own experiences. Let's see what's underneath that 10 of Pentacles. Oh, the Hermit again. So yeah, people, I think people just like maybe even get stuck inside their mind sometimes just thinking about you and your presence and what it means and what does this mean about me and my experiences and what does it mean about me in terms of like healing. And but also the Hermit again, it's a very necessary part of life to be in hermit mode because you do a lot of soul searching within that. And so again, I think you help heal people even if they don't realize that that's what's happening. Let's see what's underneath the Hermit. 10 of Cups again. So yeah, you got the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. So people literally see you as the perfect partner, the perfect person. And I know that that's going to sound very flawed and dramatic, potentially, maybe not realistic, but through these people's eyes, through these people's perceptions and experiences, that's what they see. They see you as somebody that's perfect or very close to perfection. And so I think it definitely could bring up a lot of people's insecurities and a lot of people's trauma. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the King of Swords. Please and thank you, Spirit. What kind of sensations does the collective stimulate in others in relation to this King of Swords? King of Swords. Okay. Okay. Well then, clarifying that King of Swords, we have the Magician, the Devil, and then bottom of the deck is the World card. 3 major arcana here. You make people feel some big emotions, some big sensations. So the first one with being that Magician card, that almost feels like empowerment. You show up in a way that's probably very self-empowered, and therefore you show people that they too can become empowered. Or maybe they start to feel more empowered just simply being around you, maybe observing how you are. Maybe you're also, in terms of like spirituality, maybe psychic abilities, magical gifts, and manifestation. You could be somebody that believes that anyone can access that everybody has those abilities within. They just simply need to be open to them and work on them and, you know, whatever. to bring them out. And people that may have thought at one point in their life that they were powerless or they didn't have those abilities, maybe through interacting with you, they start to open their mind to, maybe I can do these types of things that I thought were impossible. That also gives me that the sensation of people feeling like you make the impossible possible, or you just turn around people's perspectives of life and maybe of themselves too. It's almost like you show people the ways in which they are limiting themselves, like self-limiting beliefs, and you come in and interrupt that. And I think people like how that feels. So much so with the Devil card. The Devil card can definitely deal with obsession, but also toxicities. But I feel like with this context, it probably is going to be the obsessive energy. I think people tend to get very obsessed with you, which would make sense because you have this powerful presence that is almost unavoidable or ignorable. Wait, what am I trying to say? That cannot be ignored. Cannot be ignored. But a very powerful presence, a very impactful presence. Also a presence that is unlike anyone they've ever met. So it's almost even natural for people to think about you a lot, maybe to the point of obsession. And it's interesting that it's the King of Swords that we're clarifying. So these could even be people that are thinking nonstop about you, maybe talking nonstop about you, but in a more obsessive way. And because we are clarifying the King of Swords and the Magician and the Devil came out, this could be indicating a person in particular in your life that may be currently trying to manifest you, maybe through obsessive thinking. They could even speak it aloud, trying to manifest it that way. Interesting. But people get addicted to your energy because it empowers them, is what I feel like. It helps them to feel more empowered. And that almost feels like either people that are on their healing journeys already, or maybe they're in a more positive mindset in general, or a higher vibrational mindset. They're able to maybe see the pros of being around you, the great things that you bring out, the way that you help heal people, even if it is triggering. So I think some people eventually come around to the idea that you are here for good and you help heal people, you help heal humanity and everyone that you come across. And so this feels like this King of Swords could be somebody that does see the impact you make in the lives of others, and they love that. And they may even be obsessively thinking about it. Your impact, your presence, your magic. Also, if this is talking about a person in particular, they could be trying to manifest you, but also they could be having some spicy thoughts about you, definitely. That could also be another way that they are either trying to manifest you, or another way in which they just obsessively think about you in spicy ways. But it's also interesting that the World card is at the bottom of the deck. Sometimes the World card is like a completion of a cycle, closing out a cycle. So it is possible that this is somebody from your past, if it is a particular person. And maybe you closed out a cycle with this person, but maybe they feel like they wish to reopen that cycle, or they hope that you haven't closed the door on them forever or something like that. But in terms of sensations, I think the World card is how you make people feel more enlightened, maybe even lighter, closer to spirit, closer to God. I almost feel this sensation of like closer to the truth of what life is or what life should be. And you make people feel like it's possible to close out toxic cycles, to begin new cycles, to improve themselves, improve their life. And you also lead people to believe that they can become more enlightened. Yeah, let's see what's underneath that World card. Six of Swords. So yeah, that's literally like a card of transition from that toxic past to a calmer future. And so you make people want to leave the chaos, the drama, the nonsense of the world behind, and maybe go towards something that is more spiritually enlightened, something a little bit more high vibrational, something a little bit more calm, more reassuring, something that actually makes you happy. And you show people that it's possible and that happiness out there. Yeah, like that happiness is out there for people to achieve. And maybe these are people that thought that it wasn't possible for them to achieve within their lifetime. But you show them, and it almost feels like you show them through example. Because I feel like a lot of this is stuff that you've done on your life, in your life or on yourself, to improve yourself, to improve your life. And so it's like people know you're not bullshitting them. Let's see what's underneath that Six of Swords. Ace of Pentacles. So yeah, you help people to feel like they can start again, even in circumstances where they felt like I can't start over again. Or maybe in terms of relationships, I'm already in so deep, I can't possibly leave this person. And maybe you come into people's lives and you're like, you know what? You can leave that person. If you're not happy with that person, if that person mistreats you, you can move away and everything will be okay and you can start over and maybe build something much better. And that's what you show people. And then they're like, damn, okay, maybe I can. And maybe that's something that this King of Swords was triggered by, but in a positive way. If this is a specific person. But it could be that there is somebody in your life that these two kings here are representing. So maybe there's two people in your lives, in your life, that may currently be thinking about you. Let's go on to the King of Pentacles now and see what that one is about. See if this is another person that's thinking about you. But anyways, please and thank you, Spirit. What kind of sensations does the collective stimulate in others with that King of Pentacles? Please and thank you. Please and thank you with the King of Pentacles. Up in here, up in here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so clarifying that King of Pentacles, we have the Seven of Wands, which we already had earlier that we were clarifying. And then we have the Moon card. The Ten of Cups came out. And then we have at the bottom of the deck, the World card again. Beautiful. Okay. Again, there's this message of empowerment with that Seven of Wands. You help people feel like they can overcome maybe the impossible or what they thought was impossible to overcome. They can overcome challenges, obstacles, things that are in their way. But also in terms of maybe romantic stuff, people may be feeling the sensation of wanting to fight for you, wanting to compete against other people, doing whatever it takes to either get your attention or to impress you, to win your heart. Very interesting. Also, the Seven of Wands is about like facing something and having the odds stacked against you, but you win because you believed you could. So again, there's this belief empowerment sort of thing that you have going on and what you stimulate in other people. I feel like you're very much a person that loves to boost other people, lift them up, show them what they're capable of. And these could be people that never saw these qualities within themselves or never thought that these things were possible. And it changes their life forever. Yeah, people will never be the same after interacting with you. Ain't no way. Mm-mm. Interesting that the Moon card came out. So maybe some people want to suppress their emotions around you, maybe out of fear. Ooh, especially if they feel very strong emotions for you. They may be afraid of those emotions, or afraid that you will reject them, or afraid that you may not feel the same way. Some people may really like you, love you, but may not express it out of fear of the unknown. So whether that be fear that you don't reciprocate, or fear that you will reject them, fear that it will just turn out badly, have some unfavorable outcome, and they would rather keep these things hidden within themselves maybe. But there's also maybe a air of mystery that you have about you too. And so, although I think you're very open, very honest, very authentic, there may be certain things that you simply don't disclose, or maybe you don't disclose to everyone. You may be very selective with the things that you talk about with others. And therefore, it creates this air of mystery of like, I wonder what the collective is thinking, maybe about me, or what the collective is even feeling about me or about people in general, maybe. So I almost feel like there's this sense of like, people get a general idea of who you are, but they may not get certain details that they wish to know. And that kind of leads them to want more. People may kind of be intrigued by this mystery, this mysterious air that you have about you. It's almost like they get lured in by this mysterious energy that you embody. But also, that Moon card almost makes me feel like people, especially because it's following the Seven of Wands, it almost feels like this sensation of like, people want to face their fears, or they feel like they can face their fears when it comes to you because you empower them so much. And maybe you have faced your own fears, and so people are inspired by that. Like, if the collective can face their demons, maybe I can too. And then after that Moon card is the Ten of Cups. So we already touched on the Ten of Cups energy when it was at the bottom of the deck. Happily ever after is typically how the Ten of Cups is seen. So people feel total emotional contentment around you. They may feel emotionally completed by you. They may feel like you are their soulmate. They may feel like fate has aligned the two of you to create that happily ever after together. They see what is possible. They see all of the magic, all of the happiness, all of the emotional contentment that they could want. Maybe even more. Maybe even surpasses what they thought they could achieve in a relationship or something like that. Yeah. But in terms of if this King of Pentacles is somebody in particular in your life, this is very promising energy. This could be somebody that is actively overcoming their fears of the unknown, willing to do whatever it takes in order to overcome their fear, in order to secure this 10 of Cups energy with you, this happily ever after. So you may get a happily ever after. If this is somebody that's in your energy currently, they're actively overcoming their fear to make this happen. Also, it's clarifying the King of Pentacles, which the King of Pentacles on the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, it's a king that actually has a suit of armor on underneath his cloak. And he is actually the only king that has that suit of armor that is visible. And I always take that as somebody that's ready for a fight, you know, somebody that's not afraid to, you know, do what it takes or do what is required of them in the moment. And so I think that this is somebody that's probably very headstrong, somebody that is willing to fight even their inner demons, even their inner self, whatever is in the way. This is somebody that thinks you are absolutely worth it to overcome those inner demons, to overcome those insecurities, to push aside those doubts. Especially because you are somebody that I think a lot of people see as a one of one. You are a one in a million, one in a bazillion, you know? And so people, I think most people know, especially people that are romantically interested in you, I think they may know that, like, that you have the ability to fulfill them completely. And also, well, I don't want to say that because that almost sounds like you are in charge of fulfilling people, which that's not the case. We have to fulfill ourselves to a certain extent, but rather just like that they could create the ultimate happiness with you. And they may not get this chance with anyone else, or they may not, it may be that they get the chance with someone else, but the thing is their energy is not you, right? And it's like they specifically want you because it's you that they see this future with, not just anyone. So it's like, because you're so unique, this one feels like somebody that knows how unique you are, knows how rare of an opportunity this is, and therefore they do not want to mess it up. They do not want to fumble this. And they're willing to put in the work to make it actually happen in the 3D. Okay, so that could be a side note for you. Maybe there is two people right now that are very in your energy, feeling all the sensations. And then the World card at the bottom of the deck, in this context, especially with the cards that were clarifying the King of Pentacles, in terms of if this is somebody in your life in particular, the World card feels like, it almost feels like this person may want to start a whole new cycle with you. And they're hoping that you're open to that idea. That the two of you can start a new cycle that's filled with love. Filled with so much love and happiness. Because it's almost like you are the highest that they could ever strive for. At least in this person's mind, you are. Wow. You're like the ideal. Yeah. And so they would be hella grateful, hella blessed if you were to consider them for a relationship. Let's see what's underneath that World card. Temperance. So healing, a very healing energy they feel with you. They also feel this calm. You may have healed a lot of yourself. Maybe this person has as well. Or maybe they even see that a potential connection with you would be very healing for the both of you. But I feel like they definitely see you in this light of being, oh, it's an angel too, the 2 cups. Interesting. Holding 2 cups, and earlier we had the 2 of cups that we clarified, and I was seeing that as kind of your energy. So maybe they see you as this angel. Oh, they may see you as like an angel in their life, that you came into their life as an angel to maybe bring love and healing. But they also see how you're very tempered, you're very patient. There's a lot of calm self-assuredness that you have about you. Oh my gosh, this person really admires you. I want to see what's underneath that. Two of Wands underneath that. That gives me the idea that if this is a specific person in your life, this person's actively making plans to come towards you. So I don't know about that King of Swords so much, but this King of Pentacles, I would just be on the lookout for a King of Pentacles trying to make his way towards you. I'm just saying. Because I feel like this is somebody that really views you as more than the ideal. It's like they would be stupid to pass up an opportunity like this. But yeah, in terms of the topic of the reading, the sensations with the Temperance card, you calm people and you heal people. They feel lighter when they're around you. The 2 of Wands, you help people view their future in a more optimistic way, in which they feel almost excited to plan for their future. And these are people that may have been afraid of what the future had in store, afraid to make plans in a positive way. But it's like you give people hope for the future. That's what I feel. Earth angel energy too. You may be here on this earth, on this planet, to heal not just yourself, but the world. And you help people think more optimistically, which is already starting to heal people and heal the world. So, heal the world. Heal the world. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. That's you. Beautiful. People see you as an earth angel, definitely. And you're here to make the world a better place. Oh my gosh, that's actually really cute. 2 of Pentacles. Again, there's a sense of balance that you have about you, or at least that's what you trigger in others. Is like, ooh, balance. Like, this feels balanced in some way, but also transformation with the butterfly. So you inspire people to transform and maybe become more balanced in their own lives because they see how you've done it. Let's see what's underneath that. The Emperor. So this is definitely how people see you. But it almost feels like you're not somebody that looks down on other people. And people, I feel like when they interact with you, it's not even that. It almost feels like you help people to find the Emperor within themselves. And again, it goes back to that empowerment energy that you give people. And it's almost like you show up as this Emperor, but you're like, guess what? You can become an Emperor too. You show people what they're capable of. Let's see what's underneath that. Queen of Wands. So I think people definitely see you as somebody that's very attractive. Ooh, but you're very protective. They like this about you. You're very ambitious as well. You may inspire people to become more confident in themselves. Queen of Wands is very confident. But it's also like you help people to see the beauty within themselves, their good qualities within themselves, maybe even the things that make them special, unique, stand out. And these are people that may have thought that they didn't have anything special about themselves, or that they weren't that big of a deal, or, they're just, a nobody, but you help them feel like they're somebody. And that's why you make such a great impact in the lives of others. This is such a beautiful reading, you guys. I love it. Let's break out the oracle, see if there's any additional messages for you. Please and thank you, Spirit. Any additional messages for the collective? Any advice? Anything that you think they need to hear? Please and thank you. Okay. So if you came out, let's see. Ooh, okay. Basil is the first one, and that represents prosperity, luck, and love. Ooh, baby. So, that's your vibe. You give off an energy of prosperity, luck, and love. And I think that's exactly what you attract towards you. But you also, I think, help to show people that they too can become prosperous, that they too can create their own luck in their lives, that they can be loving and attract love, and that they're deserving of love. Wow. And then we have Hedge, and this represents potential, boundaries, and indecision. I think you're probably somebody that has very strong boundaries, but very healthy boundaries, and you show people how to do that. And you show up in a way where it's like, yes, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm very giving, but I'm not going to do that to the expense of myself. I'm not going to do that until I'm completely depleted. And that is something very powerful that I feel like shows people that, yes, you can be kind. Yes, you can be friendly. Yes, you can show up in this loving energy. But ultimately, you do need healthy boundaries, because some people will unfortunately take advantage of some qualities like that in another person. And so you show people like, hey, it's important to create boundaries. But the potential part, you show people their own potential. I think that's a big thing too. Indecision. You may show people how to overcome indecision or to trust themselves more so that they can make choices clearer. Again, that self-empowerment energy. And then the Rain card came out. This represents cleansing, purification, and hydration. Beautiful. I think you're like a cleansing presence in the lives of others. You almost purify the environments that you're in, or you purify something around you in a way that's very noticeable and refreshing. And the hydration part, that almost feels like that when you take a drink of something and you go, and it's almost like you feel like that. You feel like a tall glass of water at the end of the day, or maybe in 3 a.m. when you're thirsty and you wake up out of a sound sleep to get a cup of water. That kind of, oh my gosh, yeah. You give people what they've been craving for so long that maybe they forgot they were even craving it. It's almost like reminding them that they've been starved of something for so long that was probably very necessary. Wow. You show up like that, like rain in a desert. And that makes a huge impact in the lives of others. Okay, in the bottom of the deck, we have Summer. This represents expansion and growth. Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's exactly how you show up in other people's lives. You're like, hey, let me show you how to expand upon your life. Let me show you that expansion is possible, that growth is possible, that you can become anyone that you want to be, that you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. Like, these are just, I love your energy so much because it's so beautiful. It really is. So it makes sense why people, respond so strongly to your energy, because it's just like, whoa. But I feel like it's such a necessary whoa, where it's like, yes, like this is a necessary part of healing, of becoming more enlightened, of healing yourself, taking care of yourself, loving yourself, finding joy in life. Beautiful energy. So that is the reading. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that it resonated. If it did resonate, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you subscribe, you can become a part of the Hive Collective, because my name is Bee. Bees live in hives, and you can become an honorary bee like me, and we can be a little bee family together. If you like my readings and you'd like to see more, be sure to click that bell icon down below so that YouTube actually notifies you the next time that I upload. And thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.